You're listening to the AdCast with your host, Eric Elliott.
Frost, how are you doing?
Good. How are you, Eric?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk to you. And I'm going to tell you why, because it seems like everything that you touch, you turn to gold or you frost it. Let's say that. So I'm excited to talk to you, and I want to talk about all the awesome things that you and your company are doing, and the things that you've done before as well. I want to talk about those things, but I want to tell people just a little bit about you, who my guest is, and you tell me if I have anything wrong. So Frost is, just a genius. She's a genius. She's not going to tell you that she's a genius, but I'm going to tell you for it. She actually was a software engineer at Google, worked at Apple. She created her own consulting firm. She's done work with brands like Twitch and Lyft and Shopify. And actually, we'll talk about her company, her older company, how she actually did some partnership with Pinterest there. And she's also the founder and CEO of Social Chat. And we want to talk about social chat conversions and engagement, and also how to use machine learning. I'm excited to talk to you. Frost, did I miss anything here?
I think it's pretty good. Thank you so much for your intro.
Well, I practiced that a whole lot with you. Practiced that a lot because I was excited to talk to you. Now, Frost, it seems like you have this knack for everything that you touch just turns into something big. And there was a time where you actually hired tens of thousands of different coders and engineers to be able to do some of the work that you're doing. Just tell me about that. How did you get into tech? How did you get interested in tech?
Wow, that's actually a very long story, but to keep it short, I think what is very exciting about using, engineering to solve a problem that we can do it at scale, we can do it automatically. And also, most importantly, that's the only way we can really solve a bigger problem. Like you can actually impact like millions or even hundreds of millions of people's experiences. So that's what excited me, and that's why I took my first job out of college at Twitter. Yeah.
Tell us about that. I mean, you did some work with Twitter, and then you were also with Google, and you work with Apple, and these are big brands. These are really big brands that the majority of people in the world have heard about. So, tell me about some of that work that you did there.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a very exciting time. I joined Twitter really early in the time that they were just expanding. I was actually employee number 300. I remember they tweeted about it when we joined.
Yeah. I want to see that picture. I want to see that picture, Frost.
No, not picture. They just tweeted today we hired the number 300 employee. I think what is really exciting for me is when I started working there, unfortunately, the Japanese tsunami happened within, I believe, the first month I was there. It was 2011, early spring, I believe. And I saw how technology can really change people's life. Because everyone was just super panicked and they don't know where to find the right information. The websites are just not updating fast enough. So we built a special program that everyone in Japan, they go on Twitter, immediately they saw all the timely tweets from the Red Cross. And they would basically promote all the relevant information wherever they search, and based on their geolocation and based on what question they were asking, what hashtag they were doing. So at that very moment, I just saw, wow, you can really be on the ground and helping people handling their food, which is wonderful and amazing. But you can also be building a system that helps really millions of people who were suffering to find where they can get resources at the most timely manner. And that's a moment, I think I was really lucky at such unfortunate event to learn that's what I want to do for my life, which is a scalable solution to really change people's experiences.
No, Frost, that's amazing. Out of something bad, you created something that was really good, and not just good, but just kind of good for the common good of people. So that's amazing. I want to talk to you today about. We talk about marketing a lot on this show. I want to talk to you a lot about interactive marketing and just using like live streaming to be able to drive revenue. Because you worked at some of those other brands where they had tech and everything else, and now we're going to talk about machine learning. Let's dive into how like live streaming, machine learning can kind of increase like conversion rates in marketing. Let's talk about that, because a lot of people, they think like, oh, it's AI powered or machine learning. There has to be more humans involved. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the human shopping style never changed, even though we are moving it online. When we are shopping in the store, we want to learn more about the product. That's why when there's a good sales representative, we always buy more. And that educational component is kind of missing when the stores go online. So really, when users are not sure, the stores are using like blog posts, right? They will like record some of the videos. They will post images to try to answer those questions, but really nothing more than a real-time interactive session, not only from the brand to the customers, but also so amazing conversations just between the customers who are shopping together when not exchanging notes. That really makes them feel confident to make the purchase or to know what they want to buy.
Wow. Is it also that it seems like, because with machine learning, everything's almost like in real time. So it feels like it helps with the service element as well too?
Absolutely. Because another difficult thing is, which are you going to promote or recommend to the customer, right? So before machine learning, we rely on content marketing managers to update all this content and put everything in front of people. But just technically, it's not really possible unless you are doing it manually, right? Because if like
and you're
1,000
an octopus
people
with 80 arms, with 100 arms,
Exactly. When like 1,000 customers go into the store, like how do you give them all different experiences? And that's what machine learning comes in, because they can observe really non-intrusively what we are looking at, right? You're looking at this pair of shoes, you're looking at this jar of cream, you're looking at this color of hat, and then it directs you to, hey, maybe this is the video shopping session you'll be interested in, because we are just talking about that. Or, hey, this other customer uploaded this video of her styling this hat the other day that just looks like you like it. Maybe you want to see how it looks like in a real buyer's eyes, not just only the brand's studio shot.
Yeah.
And so maybe you can make the purchase decision there. So that's what I feel it really ties seamlessly for like making it both interactive, but like what you said, it has to be personalized as well through machine learning. And that's how it is possible at the first place.
So it's almost like the machine learning is like a sales assistant for you. It's like a sales assistant that'll never talk back to you, but almost like guiding you through the sale.
Even better, because it's really non-intrusive. Because what we don't like is a salesperson hovering over us in a store.
Right.
We were just looking around.
Right.
But what is cool about the modern technology is the algorithm is really just like silently listening and not intrusive, only when you are really unsure. For example, you are going back and forth like 2 pages. Basically, it's like kind of in the store, you're holding 2 pieces. You're not sure which one to go.
And you're trying to make a decision.
Yeah. And then it pops out and say, hey, we just had a styling class that is happening this Friday. Why don't you come over and have a conversation with the stylist? Or, hey, do you want to have a concierge conversation with our expert about these pieces? So it comes out to very organic in the shopping experience.
So like, if I could kind of use Amazon, for example, like tell me, because, a lot of folks, they may not understand how some of the machine learning works. So like if I'm on Amazon and I purchase a camera, they could suggest a good case that goes with it and say, a lot of people that bought this camera, they wanted this case or this lens to go along with it. So is it along that way? And it's also not as intrusive?
Yeah, I try to make it really organic in a way that you don't really necessarily need to do anything special. So as you
Mm-hmm.
are browsing between different pages, if I use Amazon as an example, then you will see they always recommend relevant products and
Right.
relevant user comments and relevant video
Right.
and
Right.
interesting live shopping sessions. And I'm bringing this kind of experience to all the brands directly on their website, and even a little bit more because Amazon as a marketplace, they have their natural limitations of how they can tie the brands goods together because they don't only
Mm-hmm.
serve one brand. Yeah.
Does that when with doing that, does it make the conversion rates higher, you feel?
It's not I feel. I actually did case study with our brand partners, and we were seeing between different verticals, we're seeing either like in the high 2 digits or even 3 digits percentage increase in conversion.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's just so much more fun, right? Like one is you just read all the specs about a
Mm-hmm.
product. The other one is you're just really just talking with other customers and other shoppers along with the brand to learn about what is interesting to you.
Mm-hmm.
So I
How,
think it's a no-brainer why users buy more.
how do you think that some brands can kind of optimize their content more?
Yeah, so I think the way we optimize the content is definitely number one. We try more. So I think one thing really beautiful I've been seeing is the brands are starting to work with a lot of different content creators, or maybe we call them mini influencers, to try
Wow.
different kind of content. But most
Mm-hmm.
importantly, to optimize is you have to get the information whether it's performing well or not. That's why we really emphasize on all the deep analytics on the website. Does the user actually become a repeating customer after
Mm-hmm.
they engage with these sessions? Do they actually buy more? Do they actually have a better sentiment after purchase? So they would refer you to their friends. So I think all these deep analysis are really important indicators to exactly what you're saying, how to optimize it. Because the step one
Right.
for optimization is feedback. So I know this
Yes.
does well, then I will
Yeah.
repeat the success. If it doesn't do well, then I can reduce the non-interesting part.
And it also kind of personalizes it for you as well too. I think you touched on that where you said two things. One, you said like how it personalizes, and then it's also less intrusive because things, no one's kind of hovering over you, and it actually delivers a better experience.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually all want help, right? When we are shopping, who doesn't
Hmm.
like someone's helping us? We just don't want to feel the pressure that if we don't purchase like a crazy amount, the
Yeah,
salesperson
that's Frost. That's my wife. That's my wife.
frowns on us, right? So I think the beauty is for a machine learning module, it never frowns on you. It's always only encouraging.
Hmm. So now let's talk about social chat. Let's talk about your company, Social Chat. Tell us about your company, Social Chat.
Absolutely. So just from all our conversations earlier, our company makes this experience super simple directly on all the brands' website. So once they integrate with us on Shopify, just a one-click install, they will automatically just leave on the site and
Hmm.
recommending all the relevant video, live shopping, or user-generated content throughout the shopping journey. And the brands can easily invite an influencer to run a content session on the site
Hmm.
and really bring all the users to the site to learn more, to come first, and at the
Oh,
end purchase. And they would know exactly what the real ROI is for all their content marketing, which you are very senior in this place, like a lot of times we see the report as, well, we got 5,000 likes on Instagram, but what does that really
right.
mean, right?
What does it mean? Wow.
Yeah,
That that's
absolutely.
that's 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 exactly it, because a lot of people, they don't know what success really looks like. Let's just say on a social channel, they'll say like,
Mhm.
okay, what does success look like? Okay, well, I ran an ad and I had this many impressions, or hey, we had some engagement, but like, what does it mean? You know, like, what does it mean,
Absolutely.
or how do you get a result out of that? And that's where your product comes in, right?
Absolutely. We make sure that not only it's easy for the users to shop, but also for the brands, they see the real lift in conversion and actually return on
Wow.
investment when they do any content marketing campaigns.
So now you've worked with, I mean, some really, really big brands. And so when you work with those big brands like that, does that scare like a smaller business from being able to work with you, or are you able to work with some smaller businesses?
I think what I was really lucky. I get to work with these platforms, and I really like learn from them,
Hmm.
like what has been working the best. And honestly, Eric, from really small brands to really big platforms, uh, people actually shop and engage exactly the same way because you are just people.
Wow.
So it
Yeah.
really applies really exactly the same way. For example, um, like Twitch has the same challenge as a really small brand. How do we make users to log in? Because I can just watch the video, or I can just like shop around and never log
Hmm.
in. And when I don't log
Uh-huh.
in, it's really hard to have a real conversation, right? Because you never really
Wow.
participate in the community. So how do we make the content so good, make it so interactive, make it so interesting, so users actually want to participate instead of only an information consumer, and actually become actually contribute to the content. So I
Eh,
really feel it's just always the same question. And by working with this platform, actually makes me learn and equipped how can I help the smaller brands, and hopefully they don't have to do all this research and
yeah, I mean,
building like the big
you've done the work.
platforms.
You've done the work for them pretty much. I mean, you're making it so much easier, you know? When you worked at, I mean, you know, one thing I mentioned earlier was that, you know, you had a company where you did some business with Pinterest, and you were acquired by Pinterest, and that lends a lot of credibility to what you're doing. So for those listeners out there who are having trouble with their content marketing, or really not knowing what works for them, this is where they need to start really paying attention, because everyone's all about social, all about content, but they don't know what's working for them. You know, they have no idea what's working for them.
Yeah,
There
thank you.
was an, go ahead.
No, just I thank you for your kind words, Eric.
There was an old quote. They said, I know my advertising works. I just don't know what half works for me." You know, and this is like, just from reading this and preparing for you today, like, this is exactly what it makes me just think about, like, you know, like, letting people know like what works for them. You know, um, so give me an example. I mean, you talked about the companies that had these double digit lifts, but give me an example of like when you first implemented your product, and the amazement that the brand saw, and how you were able to provide them true analytics and the effects of your campaigns.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one thing that is really exciting to me personally is I was in the industry for a long time, and I hired a lot of these content creators before.
Right.
So what is really cool is when I was working with the brand, it's actually a hair brand. I really recommend everyone using their shampoo. It's called Hair Story. They actually
Hmm.
always had amazing partnerships with the salon owners to really educate people how to use their hair products.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to know which salon owners actually really brings in the most customers, and also how they, on the other side, help the owners to get more customers. So by working together with these partnerships using our solution, they will be able to see, wow, these salon owners, even though doesn't really have millions of followers on social, they brought in like thousands or tens of thousands of new customers.
Oh
On
my
the other
gosh.
hand, these salon owners were seeing, oh, this brand was able to give me so many new bookings to my
Wow.
haircut and hair
Wow.
salon, because the people who are shopping on these stores, of course, they are fashionable, right? They want to
Right.
hire like the top tier owners. So I feel it's really both sides. So both the content creators and the brand know what's the return on investment, and they can both enter the partnership with confidence and making the performance a repeatable process. Because another thing is we would spend a lot of money hiring a really big name person, and it's not repeatable.
Getting a big name, and it doesn't always do it for you. It doesn't always bring you success.
Yeah, so I was just like, was so cool that we're able to see, okay, it's the ROI right there, right? How much money does it sell in this session? What kind of users were interested? And we can repurpose all this content afterwards through the personalized machine learning to recommend to the new users. So I think that was a very exciting experience for me as well to see, okay, it's no longer 5,000 likes. It's like $50,000 you're making in this session.
Oh, so it's a great way to be able to monetize your engagement as well.
Exactly. So when users come in, they were interested, right? They learn the product, and when it's so easy for them to check out right there, they of course purchase more. Instead of, we all have this experience, right? We spend tons of hours on watching short videos on YouTube or Instagram, but we never take any action.
Yeah.
But when you see this, you're like, this is amazing. I want my hair to look like that. The shopping cart is right there, directly on the site. You were like, okay, sure, it's like $50. I'll give it a try. So they saw much higher conversion rate right there with such good content from their partnerships.
So, I remember in the early, when we were all starting to learn a lot of the social platforms, and whenever you had low engagement, this was before like platforms like Facebook really went to really pay to play for businesses. You know what I mean? Where whenever we would put up something, it would always be easy to blame the copy. We would say, oh, it didn't do well. It's bad copy. But we truthfully, like, we were just really throwing spaghetti on the wall and seeing what sticks, instead of really using, like some true technology to say, like, you know what, I'm going to go after this influencer because this can work for me.
Yeah, because that's not only the content, but also really the related community that you are working with your ads campaign at the same time. And by bringing this community to your website, you'll get the analytics exactly. What kind of users are they? How does their conversion rate look like? And do they actually really see themselves as customers of your brand? So later you can learn who you would like to work with as well.
So it's more let's just say, how smart is machine learning going to get for us? How smart is it going to get?
I honestly think, I've been a machine engineer for more than a decade. I really think humans are always smarter, but what is different in machine learning is they are not biased. What I mean is, I can like something, I just see someone, I love it, and I just have all these justification of why this will work. But machines, they are cold. They were like, no, it doesn't work.
That is the simplest, smartest thing I've ever heard right there, is that the machines are just not biased,
Yeah, and we're a human. It's not possible for us to be unbiased. I think that's the biggest difference. And it scales, because we can only work 12 hours a day. It works 24 hours a day. Never stop.
So like, really, I think a really good test, like there was you had some case studies that were out, and for any of the folks, go to socialchat.ai and really check it out. But there's a lot of case studies that you had out, for one for Hair Story, and there's also one for OneSkin. And like, these people are seeing, like, double digit increases in conversions and 5 times ROI, which is like, it's insane. It's almost like some people think like, oh, this is too good to be true. They think it's too good to be true.
Yeah, I think it's really not that magical if we really think about what it is. It's kind of like, I always draw this analogy, like before, like decades ago, we just shop from a catalog, right? You get a catalog in the mail, and then you circle what you want to buy, and you order. The e-commerce store nowadays is pretty static. It's almost the same way. It's slightly prettier. This is just so different than you are actually re-engaging with like what we are having right now. Like real-time conversation, and then you have like a lot of interactions and a community around you, it's a no-brainer why users shop way more than reading a catalog.
Have you seen like some industries where social chat does better, like from beauty products to or other e-commerce things? Are there any products where it just really does really well?
Yeah, I think the more the brand relies on explaining the product, like education or building brand trust, the more important it is to run content marketing, and therefore like why social chat will be more impactful and effective for them.
You bring up a great point about brands, because I think a lot of times people, they really don't know like what the brand is. They don't know what the brand is. They think the brand is totally like a logo, but the brand is really the feeling that you give away, that you want people to walk away with after they come in contact with your company. So I love what you're saying here. But there is an instance where I'm reading here, like social chat converts engagement to revenue with an AI powered live commerce solution that drives revenue at 60 to 70% of a lower cost. Now, how is that? Is that because you are shooting with specifically versus wasting money? So how are you able to do that?
So it goes all the way back to there's a lot of algorithm changes, and Apple and Google made it so much harder to get the data back for retargeting. So that basically means the brand has to either really do the conversion on the first time the customer meet them, and there's nothing more than a higher touch event can convert customers to at least sign up for the event so you can continue the conversation. Number two is because there's no retargeting, so the users come in, they are not as, so before you know exactly this user have seen this page before. So when you do retargeting, you retarget this user back to this exact product page.
Even if they're not interested. Just before
they had this technology to know this is what the user saw, but now they don't really know this anymore because the feedback loop is no longer there. So it actually relies more when the users are shopping through the journey, you really like learn on the fly and give them a recommendation right there, because you cannot rely on, the user just leaves the door, but I can always chase them back to exactly where they left. So I think the brands just have to really change the way they engage with customers as a whole when the advertising world is really changing rapidly at this very moment.
You're exactly right. Now, a question that I wanted to ask you too: do you feel like social chat actually shortens the sales cycle?
So number one, we definitely shorten the sales cycle because people are like unsure and having so many touch points is because each touch point is a very low attention touch point. Another one is we really keep the conversation going as well because we collect the first party data when users are joining these interactive sessions and like video sessions as well, instead of you really just couldn't find who the users are afterwards anymore.
Wow. So you brought up something a little early, a couple minutes ago. You had said something like a brand can, have an influencer who's got millions of followers, but then truthfully, a brand can really see if that influencer is really working for them.
Yes.
Or because like now you may not need an influencer who's got 10 million followers, but you can have just as much success on someone who's got 500,000 followers as long as they are targeting the right way, and you can really figure out truly like what works.
Absolutely, because you know exactly how much money they are making for you, how many users they are bringing up to you. So a bunch of my brand partners actually found out that micro influencers or mini influencers who have hundreds of thousands of followers have much higher conversion rate, and the users are way more loyal when they were brought to the site, just because it's more targeted group that's interested in this very brand and product line.
Do you also think like it could also be something about the authenticity of a user who's got a few 100,000 followers versus the one who's got the 10 million followers?
Yeah, I think also doing things live definitely like makes people feel it's very like authentic. So
Yeah.
not only the micro influencers, like even you are reducing a lot of production costs because you don't really need all these like studio shots. You can just
Hmm.
sit in your living room and then having a really authentic conversation with users, and that actually
Yeah.
converts better than like a really fancy ad
A
shot just
studio
because
or a studio.
yeah, exactly to your point, because it feels really authentic. It's not scripted because people have to ask questions, you have to answer like right there.
So now how about like live streaming? Um I think, coming up, I don't want to show my age here, Frost, but coming up, there was a show always on like the Home Shopping Network or QVC. Well, what they were doing was pretty much live streaming products at the time, where they would have products that were live on television. But do you see like brands will start doing probably like live sales on like social channels soon? And then can your product kind of be involved in that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what actually a lot of brands are using us for on their website directly to do a live selling.
Hmm.
I think the biggest difference is it's really important to have the experience directly on the brand's website or their app.
Yeah.
So it's like a genuine shopping experience. I
Got it.
always
Versus
say,
it being offsite.
yeah, it's because that's how you can really know what your customers' journeys are, and you can really like keep the branding, shopping experiences out there. And most importantly, as advertisers, you have all the data. Otherwise, you
Mm.
just don't know. It goes back to the same Instagram problem. You got 5,000
Right.
likes. What does that mean? Who are watching the show? Who are buying? Who actually clicked? Who followed? Are they repeating customers? Yeah.
Oh man, man, I, I just think you said advertising is changing. I think the way that things are also changing so much, where it's minimizing a lot of inefficiencies in marketing because there's tons of marketing and advertising dollars that are spent, Frost. And I think tools like what you have created, they are on the side of the advertiser and the side of the brand, and it actually it really is like it's a good service. I when I started out years ago, it was we did television and radio and newspaper, and we just did whatever we did, and we hoped that people would walk in the door and say that I found you here. But your tool says this works for you, keep doing this, and it brings down your whole cost. I'm blown away. I'm
Yeah.
blown away.
Thank you so much, Eric. I really feel exactly to your point. I feel this is the age the brand should get the power back and really own their data and know what has been working instead of, to
Mm.
your point, these channels tell you it's working really well.
Yeah,
But how do
because
you
that's
know?
because that's exactly because like you said, I'm going to quote you on this after the show. You said humans are biased, machines are not. And I think some of the platforms, they were kind of biased because they're going to show you had a ton of impressions. All the green arrows point upwards. You're doing great. Keep doing this, but then you're not seeing the sales.
Absolutely. Uh,
You're not seeing the sales, so it's like, oh, why do I need to continue doing that? I think so. Tell me, and tell some of the listeners, because I know I want people to be able to come to your website. And is there something like how easy is it for it to set up? Like, just say if I had a Shopify website, is it pretty difficult for me to partner with your company to really kind of use that technology and machine learning?
it's super simple. It's really like a one-click install, and then
Hmm.
you can just start using it right away. We have a bunch of different integration as well. So if you are only using Clovio email marketing, we also have all these integrations. So our aim is to make it as simple as possible that the person can set it up right there without any technical supports.
Oh, that's great. So now, as far as like the data, there's a lot of data that can come to people to help them to be able to understand and make better decisions. Tell me some of the type of data that they will be able to receive from using socialchat.ai?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the most important data are who are your customers?
Mm-hmm.
Are they engaging? I.e., did they sign up? Did they actually buy the products? Are they repeating customers? And
Right.
Do they actually come back to your website often after this really engaging experience? So we have all this data there, and down to really every single user interactions, and we build up user profiling. So you can also learn about what kind of user work the best for you. And so you can target that kind of clientele afterwards.
That's awesome. Is it real-time information? So like I can find out within the last hour, everyone who's come on, if I'm doing a big promotional push?
Yeah, so we have like minute by minute analysis out there, and the brands can really just like check out the dashboard anytime.
Mm-hmm. This is just amazing. I'm blown away by it, and like I said, I'm going to put it inside the show notes too, and I'll probably send out a tweet about it today too for folks to be able to find you, and because I think this is the one thing in marketing and advertising that people are missing so much, and they need to know exactly what's working for them, and this is telling people what's working for them, especially if they're doing e-commerce on their site. Question though, do you foresee you kind of making this available for other platforms or other B2B companies or B2C companies at all?
Absolutely. We already have customers who are outside of Shopify. Our integration process is fairly simple, and we continuously building more and more integrations to make it even easier. But really, the integration is I don't want to go into engineering details, but it's super simple. Just put in, a widget, and it's like out there. Because I think modern technology allows us to do this with much ease.
I love it. Who knows? Maybe Frost might give us a code where you guys can sign up for the service and possibly get some new people out there. So I want to be able to make sure I put this in the show notes. So Frost, for those people that you want to be able to come to your site or learn more about machine learning and about your product, direct those people and tell them exactly how to find you if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Please come to socialchat.ai, and then if you email me at frost@socialchat.ai and mention you are you hear about us from AdCast, and then we'll give you 14 days extra free trial.
I'm coming from my 14 days, Frost. I'm coming for that. Okay. So Frost, you're amazing. I want to commend you on the awesome work that you've done. Again, folks, I mean, Frost has done work for some of the big brands that some of you guys keep in your pocket right now. So this lends to a ton of credibility, and she's had brands approach her like Pinterest. So this is if you're looking to be able to capitalize and learn and get true data on your marketing and what you're doing, especially if you're e-commerce, you need to go to socialchat.ai. Am I wrong, Frost? Am I wrong?
Yes, socialchat.ai.
There you go, yes. Socialchat.ai. I want to thank you, Frost, for being an amazing guest today on the AdCast. And all you listeners out there, like I said, make sure you go to socialchat.ai. We'll put this also in the show notes. And also, if you feel this podcast has been good to you, make sure you share it out and to all of your friends, and go online and give us a 5-star rating. I want to welcome you guys, all you new listeners, and thank my guest, Ms. Frost Lee, for being here. This is the AdCast.
If you enjoyed today's show, be sure to give us a 5-star rating.